Well, Diddy is upping his offer to the government. He wants out of jail right now. You know that he is still behind bars at Brooklyn MDC while he is awaiting his sentence in October. But right after he was sentenced, they tried to get out on bail. They made an offer. They said, we'd like for him to be released on $1 million bail. The judge shut that down. So now it's like he's playing Let's Make a Deal, right? How about this, Your Honor? What if we offer a $50 million bail package? The money has gone up, but the reason that he thinks he should get out is because he says what he's convicted of were nonviolent offenses.
And he's right. He's right that he was convicted on 2 counts of the Mann Act. The Mann Act is hiring a prostitute and taking the prostitute across state lines. It's a nonviolent crime. So when you look at what happened, there were allegations that he was violent toward Cassie and Jane, during the prosecution's case.
There was testimony.
But the jury found him not guilty on those counts. And when you look at the Intercontinental video in 2016, he would have been convicted had he been prosecuted in California.
Right.
But he wasn't. And the statute of limitations ran. So his position is, look, you're holding me because you say I have violent propensities, but that's not what I was convicted on.
It's not what he was convicted on, but those violent propensities do exist. So that's very clear.
So then you keep
not
him
only from the video, but, and I know what you're saying, that there was plenty of testimony from both Jane and from Cassie during the trial about violent incidents. And now, he was not convicted of those things. He was not on trial for being violent to them.
Well, he was. Because force, fraud, or coercion.
Forced to stay in the relationship.
But
forced to do the freakoffs.
But Charles,
and he wasn't convicted of that.
No, I know.
Right.
But there was testimony that that Jane and Cassie were assaulted by Diddy. But
correct.
And had the jury believed that, they could have found him guilty.
Not necessarily. He can be assaulting them, but the jury didn't believe that they were forced to stay in this relationship, right? The jury essentially said they were getting plenty out of this relationship, and that's why we're not going to convict him.
Look, the bottom line is they didn't convict him
You guys
of
are arguing the wrong
violence.
point. The Mann Act, under the bail statute, you can argue what you think the law should be. Here's what the law is. Under the bail statute, it is considered a violent crime. We can say it doesn't include violent. The Mann Act, 18 U.S.C. 2421, prohibits the transportation of individuals across state lines for prostitution and other immoral purposes. This is called a crime of violence when determining whether to detain a defendant on bail.
Right, on bail.
Wait a second. He just dropped code on you. He had the actual...
He's asking for bail.
No, but the judge didn't allow bail for $1 million.
I know.
They were willing to put $1 million up. And by the way, you know as well as I know that and I'm not defending Diddy here. All I'm saying is, no, I'm not. No, I mean, Diddy should have been convicted in California.
Hold on.
But what I'm saying is, the Mann Act is not a violent crime.
I know what you're saying. I get it.
It's not.
But the judge has to go by the code.
So is this about amount? Is this about amount?
It's not about amount.
It says on bail. It says on bail.
Once the violent crime, the defendant, the convicted defendant, has to prove by a preponderance of the evidence or convince the judge one of two things. Either, both, he's not a flight risk. The judge did not weigh not letting him out on him being a flight risk. There's no real evidence he's a flight risk, and that's what the money would go to. Is he willing to leave $50 million behind? He has an ankle monitor.
Right.
He's not really a flight risk.
Surrenders passport, too.
Surrenders passport. The other thing that Diddy has to show, the burden is on Diddy, is that he is not likely to commit the same violent act, the Mann Act, again. Diddy, remember, even though he knew he was under federal surveillance, even though he was about to be arrested, was conducting a freak-off.
So what you're saying is they will keep him behind bars pending sentencing because they're afraid he might have a freak-off with a prostitute.
Correct. He might traffic in prostitutes.
Actually,
and they hold him without bail. There are people who kill people who get out on bail. Again, I'm just saying what's right is right. And there are people who kill people who get out on bail after they are convicted.
Are you convinced that Diddy will not engage in a freak-off? I think he probably would.
Can I just say, if there's a freak-off where there is no violence, force, or coercion, I mean, do you care that much? Do you care?
I personally don't care. The law says what it says.
And that's why they
another
don't
issue.
prosecute under the Mann Act.
Look.
Because people don't care. They never would have prosecuted him if this was just a Mann Act violation. The only reason they prosecuted him was because of Cassie and Jane.
Right. The video came out of Cassie. You're
That's right.
That's why they prosecuted. Let's not forget, though, and the judge remarked
Can we just
on this.
call BS?
No, I don't think so. Look, the judge said during the determination not to give him bail the first time, 2 months ago or whatever it was, he said, Diddy's own counsel admitted in cross-examination that if we were here on a domestic violence case,
He'd be guilty.
He'd be guilty.
Yes.
So therefore, the judge said this. Your own counsel
But that had to
said
do-
that you were violent.
But that was about the Intercontinental.
Right.
And he had to
I
admit
know,
that.
but-
It wasn't about what the trial was
But
about.
that's it. What we're
It
talking about is he
does
violent.
matter.
No,
There's,
for sentencing, it
there's
doesn't matter.
that's the double-edged sword of them admitting. Yes, it helped in that moment. It helped them to make the case that, look, we're admitting what you're seeing on the video. We're not arguing that. But that can come back to bite you later, and now it has.
But that- but
the
that's
judge,
nine
but then you
years
hold
ago.
him-
That's
Who
it.
cares?
Right,
Nine
the
years
judge
ago.
said
Hold
that-
on.
no,
You don't think that
problem.
Diddy,
You do care.
and there was
The only
evidence
thing that
submitted
matters
at
is what the
trial.
judge
9
thinks.
years ago.
Hold on for a
on
second. That's not
drugs.
fair. That's not fair.
Not-
There was additional evidence submitted at trial that was never, no contrary evidence
Okay,
put up,
then-
that he also beat Jane 2 years ago.
Then what?
He's a serial domestic abuser.
So keep him in prison for the rest of his life for violating the Mann Act
No.
because of what you're saying.
No, the Mann Act
he's
is
gonna-
1 to 10.
He's going to get out in a
And
year.
The Mann Act is 1 to 10.
Well, you don't know what the sentence is going to be.
Yeah.
Again, you're just
I
assuming
know what
it's
the
a year.
sentencing
By the way,
guideline is.
Just as forgetting the law, if you're Diddy, do you want to get out of
I'm right
prison
with you.
for 2 months just to go back?
And this is time served.
I'm
This
not
will
saying,
reduce
and I
his
get it.
eventual
Nobody
sentence.
wants
No,
to
that's
be behind
actually-
bars.
that's a
Oh,
good-
yeah, good point.
I think
you're
the answer
gonna
is
you're
yes.
gonna get out and get
If he's going to
taste
get a
of
1 year
freedom
sentence,
for a
you
month
think
or
he's going to
two.
get about 1 year sentence? If he's going to get a 1 year
Well,
sentence,
1 to
do
2,
it.
1 to 2.
1 to 2. Do that time
Do more
now.
time now because that's
Don't-
going to be time
Right.
served. So
It-
you're going to get out for 2
Right.
months and then have to go back.
And then serve those 2 months.
and then
later.
serve those 2
hold on,
months.
that's the best argument.
Right.
I mean, it's not about.
I would never say to
That's
someone,
the
just
best
stay
argument.
behind
why
bars,
Diddy
but-
shouldn't be making the case.
I
Diddy
don't
should
know.
be saying,
He wins, he loses.
what do you mean? You lose!
Thank
Get
you.
out of here.
Thank
I
you.
hate doing this.
See you.
It's hard not to feel a certain way being a woman during this Diddy trial. There's so many serious accusations, around sexual assault and what he did to Cassie. And I just hope that, going forward, that the judge thinks about the people, the survivors, because if this were any other person, like we all know, like without money and fame, like this person would be behind bars and they would not be out on bail.
I think you're right. I think money and fame especially money, makes a big difference in the legal system.
Right, because that's
Absolutely.
the attorneys you can hire and the defense you
Undeniably
can put
does.
on. Right.